All right, it's looking like that particular report is not ready. We'll get back to that particular report. But I still have my guest, Innocent Chukuma, who is and was an election observer. You know, I'm sure you're still born when the elections take place. All right, just behind the scene, we're discussing the fact of Faleke mentioned the fact that immediately after the primaries, Bello came second, all right, but then he abandoned the party. He lost in his polling unit. He lost in his word, and I had the crowd saying that he lost in his word polling unit, and I think his word. And I had the crowd saying that in his local government. I don't know how true that is, but then I was wondering, and why then did APC consider it necessary to fall back on Yahaya Bello?
I think that is the big question. If indeed he did all that he's been
Alleged
accused
to,
of,
yeah.
the party should have taken that into consideration in deciding who to field to replace the late Abubakar Audu. But I guess the party might have relied on this provision in the Constitution that, or is it the Electoral Act that lawyers cite, that if you are not a party in a primary, if you did not participate in a primary, there is no way you can be fielded to replace a late candidate. So maybe that weighed more in their mind in deciding to submit the name of Bello rather than Falake. So again, it's left for the court to interpret that section, whether it holds water. And again, I'm happy that Falake is reported to have gone to court.
He's going to go to court.
He's going to go to court.
Because he didn't accept to be running mate of Yahaya Bello.
I hope he goes before Saturday so that the court can give it, I believe, expedited hearing before the election is conducted on Saturday. So there's a lot for the court to decide. This must be a very busy period for the judiciary in Kogi State.
But I'm wondering, Innocent, Walola Nipoko's son is Faleke's lawyer, counsel. Is it that if this, what you talked about that lawyers are saying, if this in some way is true, wouldn't he know? I mean, wouldn't he be advising Faleke ab initio not to even venture into this?
Well, every person who feels injured in one way or the other is entitled to legal representation. And as a lawyer, if a client approaches you to defend him or her or appeal to the court for a redress he or she wants, it's left for you to advise the client as to the veracity of the claim. But if the client insists on going to court, it is left for you again to decide whether you want to be the one to represent him or her. So at the end of the day, what I'm saying is that you have situations where people are actually caught in the act of committing a crime. And they still have lawyers who will represent them in court and advise them to plead not guilty.
Yes, that's true.
So again, it's the court at the end of the day that decides conclusively.
We all are going to have to wait to know what they would say. Well, Faleke again says he's defending too many sides to the story, unfolding drama. Faleke says he's defending Audu's mandate. Mandate in capital. On the face of it, is there really a mandate to defend with elections declared inconclusive?
Well, let me say again that I have a lot of sympathy for Faleke and the cause that he is championing, and to the extent that he was a running mate to Abubakar Audu in that election, he can, to a reasonable extent, say that he is standing on the stead of his left friend and colleague in the election. But as far as the law is concerned, it's INEC that has the power to declare whether election is concluded or inconclusive. And in this particular case, they declared it inconclusive. So there is really legally speaking, no mandate here until after Saturday's election.
That's what I'm saying. So many, excuse me, so many things are playing out here. And again, I guess we all have to wait for the courts really to begin to tell us what is and what is not. Okay, well, Faleke again, he went a step further. He called in Abubakar Odu's because people of Kogi said they actually initially was trying to bring forth Mohammed Odu, late Abubakar's son, to become the flag bearer. But the party was running away from that because Abubakar never participated in the primaries and he was never around that. So Faleke went a step further to choose him as his running mate. Now, he was absolutely playing to the sentiments of the Kogi East. What do you make of all that?
It's a deft political move, and it's in the right direction as far as the politics of the election is concerned. And if indeed the court rules when he approaches them that he is the rightful candidate that should be fielded, that alliance will see him through. So as far as politics is concerned, is a great move for which he should be commended. Yeah. But again, there's still a number of hurdles on the way.
For him to have to cross before he gets there. All right, I still have Innocent Chukwuma in the studio with me, an election observer. Let's go now to Imo. That report is ready to find out what the people are actually thinking about the events that are developing in Kogi State.
It's just a simple logic that the deputy governor to Audu should continue the race.
I think Falake should withdraw his case from the court. If he has gone to court, he should be a disciplined party man. He should accept the decision of the party. He remains the deputy governorship candidate, which is a position he vied for, which is a position he threw himself up to attain. So he should not capitalize on the death of his boss, late Audu, to now want to use it to foment crisis. He should sit back and wait for his turn. The deputy governor is number 2 citizen of the state. If he has a very good working relationship with his boss, he can be powerful.
He was not a deputy governor elect. If he was a deputy governor elect, it would have been a different ballgame. But now that the election, they are still at the process of, the election has been declared inconclusive. So in that case, you cannot legitimately and legally say, well, since this man is late, I should be sworn in as a governor. I don't think it will work that way.
The leaders of the party should take this particular issue now to use it to field somebody whose pedigree will bring peace and sustainable change the Kogi people demand.
The leaders of the party should know what to do. The mantle now, the onus is on the leaders of APC, and I believe APC is an organized party.
All right, still TVC Breakfast and it's still on Talk Time. We're still talking with Innocent Chukwuma. This is very important. I almost forgot this issue. He talked about peace, and that joggled my memory, because talking about peace after the election, post-election. I have had said that members of the Kogi State House of Assembly has said that if they bring on Bello, who is now the substituted candidate, that they will impeach him. Let's just briefly talk about that before I let you run.
Well, I think the party is in a feast here. All parties in this process are getting all kinds of legal advice. And if the party relies on the argument that you cannot field somebody who is not a party or who did not participate in the primaries in the election, that the court will annul it. If that is indeed the valid interpretation of that section, I guess the hands of the party may be said to have been tied. They may not have, wished to field Bello, but the legal circumstances are such that if they do not field him, they might lose in court. So I guess when the tension is over and they sit in the room to discuss with members of the Kogi State House of Assembly as to what options do they really have here. I believe at the end of the day, reason will prevail. Remember, the same Kogi State House of Assembly said that if they did not fuel the son of Abubakar Aldu, they will impeach whoever they...
Yeah, but then,
Mohammed
came back.
So you see the resolution that they were also amenable to having him be a running mate to Falaki, which means at the end of the day, I mean, it's politics. They would, overriding interest will prevail.
Just like that young man said, because that's what brought us about. It has to be, he said, they have to pick somebody who has the pedigree to get all the parties together and foster peace. That is what will, your last word.
And then there's also the argument that Bello comes from Begbira. I think it's Kogi, is it Central, that has not
Bello,
not fielded a candidate in the state gubernatorial election in this republic. That could also be a fence-mending effort. So at the end of the day, the party, APC, needs to sit down with all its candidates.
All right, thank you very much for your time spent here on the studio, on TVC Breakfast Studio. Thank you, Innocent.
Thanks a lot
for being here. All right, we've been discussing on Drop Time. The Kogi imbroglio is now playing out. 5th September will be the date for the election. That is, like there's a ceteris paribus, if everything is equal and there's no court injunction against that. We're watching and to see what develops.